What's up, guys? Today on What the Tech, we're going to take a look at how to install an FGL in your MTW.
What the Tech?
So, you just got your brand new MTW, and you're getting ready to go out on the field. One of the things we highly recommend considering adding to your MTW is our FGL. For those of you that are not familiar with it, this stands for Filtered Grip Line. What the FGL does is it has a small filter built in to the fitting here that catches dirt, debris, and other stuff that would otherwise make it into your system. So if you set your gun down in the mud and get some junk up in there, we've seen all sorts of stuff get into people's systems. It's well worth it, in our opinion, to do this, so we highly recommend considering it. We offer them in a variety of colors here, and these colors cycle through. So our current colors at the time of this video are black, a green camo, a sort of bumblebee gold and black, a red, orange, and yellow fire pattern, and then a tan sort of camo pattern there as well. So we're going to take a look at how to install the FGL. You can see this one here already actually has an FGL installed in it, but we're going to break it down. The breakdown is the same whether the FGL is installed or not. So we're going to break it down, show you how to swap the airline to your FGL and how to put it all back together. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to separate upper and lower receiver. Now, to do that, we need to push both pins through, both takedown pins. Do be aware that if your gun is brand new, these pins may be a little tight. They tend to sort of break in with time and become looser. If you need to, you could use the back end of a something like a screwdriver that isn't going to mar the surface to help pop them out, just to give you a little bit more force on there. Now, in order to completely separate upper and lower receiver, we pop both pins, and then we're going to want to have the selector set in safe so that the fitting can more easily pull straight out. Okay, we can set the lower aside. We don't need to do anything with it. Now, before we get into this, the two things that I would recommend having. First, you're going to need a 1/4 inch wrench. That's non-negotiable. You need that. What I would recommend for anytime you're tearing down the upper receiver to change the hop up, to do maintenance on the cylinder, whatever it is you need to do, I recommend having a small tool of some sort. It doesn't really matter what it is. You can pull these out by hand, but they are pretty tight, and it's a whole lot easier if you have something like a small flathead screwdriver. This is just a small Allen key and helps pop these clips out more easily. So, to get started, first we are going to remove the wiring from the connection at the back of the solenoid. If you can see in here, what we're going to do is pop the connector out of the solenoid so we're free back there. Okay. Next, we're going to pop this back clip out. Again, if you get under this front edge, just pop it out there. And then you can gently pull out the wiring with your connector. Set that aside. Next, we are going to thread the airline back through. So fitting end goes first, goes through, and we're all set. Now make sure as you're pulling this through, you want to try to avoid catching the edges of the heat shrink on the inside edges of the receiver, just to avoid sort of peeling those up. Now, one more clip. You can just pop right here. Again, there's a little opening there that you can get your tool inside of and pop it up easily enough. So next we're going to slide out the charging handle part of the way, and the cylinder comes right out like that. Notice that this screw in the top of the cylinder fits into the slot in the charging handle. Do not remove this screw. It is a plug. We have permanently sealed it, and filled the head so that you're not tempted to put an Allen key in there and remove it, but do not put a pair of pliers on that and force it out because it needs to be factory sealed. Okay, so set the upper aside, and let's take a look at the airline. To remove the airline, you'll need a 1/4-inch wrench. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There we go. So you could remove your stock airline, and then you're going to take your FGL, which is what we already had on here, and you're just going to put it back on. So you're going to thread it in. And then snug it up. You don't need to go crazy on it, but you do want it snug. Depending on the exact shape of the 1/4-inch you're using, sometimes it's a little snug getting it tightened down in this area, but we haven't found one that doesn't that can't be used yet. Some of them are just a little snug, and you have to get it at just the right angle to get it tightened up. But do make sure you snug it up, and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and reassemble. Again, we're going to have our charging handle out. We're going to set the screw down into the slot in the charging handle, and then those can slide together back into the receiver. At this point, it's not quite exactly reverse order, but it's pretty close. What we're going to do is we're going to slide the fitting for the solenoid through on this side of the airline. It's going to slide back through. Like so. And then if we just push the cylinder back out just a little bit, far enough that we can see the connector here, and we can plug the solenoid back in. Okay. Next thing, we're going to push the cylinder forward at the back until this clip can pop into place, like so. Finally, we're going to thread our airline back through. Again, it goes fitting end first. We're going to be careful to avoid catching our heat shrink on the edges as we go through. And you don't really have to worry about this part of the airline. It doesn't really stay kinked, so if you bend it and kink it, it just pops right back. It's not a big deal. So don't worry about that. Just pull it straight through. Now, the yoke here, we're going to start by pushing the back end up against the slot that it sits in, and then pushing down on the contacts and snapping it into place. And now we're pretty much done. All we got to do is take our lower receiver, make sure the pins are pulled out, make sure our selector is in safe, thread the airline back through down into the grip. You may need to pop the wiring up in order to get the airline through. Then you can just set it right back down. Now we're going to connect the front first. All we're going to do is line it up and then push on the pin. Get our wiring tucked into place. Right there. Close it up. Pop the back pin in. And congratulations, you have just installed an FGL into your brand shiny new MTW. So, thanks for watching, guys. This has been What the Tech, and we will see you guys out on the field.